In this practical tutorial, we will create a fish using polygon modeling and a subdivision surface. Go to the frontal view. Press the Shift-V hotkeys and add a reference to the background. Let's place this picture so that the fish is in the center of coordinates. Now let's create the base of the fish. I select the cube object. We set the dimensions approximately according to the shape of the fish. Let's adjust its thickness. Something like this will be enough. Next, we convert the primitive into a polygonal object and create subdivisions using the Loop Cut tool. Several cuts can be set at once. I will set 9. Now go to the point editing mode, select the model, and adjust the points. We do it in such a way that they are along the contour of the fish. Now you need to make an axial cut in the middle of the model. Thanks to this, we will be able to make a more convex shape. Select the Loop Cut tool, create a face in the middle. But as you can see, it is not quite even. So let's select the points and use the Scale tool to align them. Place it a little lower. Now let's fix the tail. I select this point and offset it to the right. Let's look at the shape and think about what we will do next. We make the tail a little thinner. Select the points and scale them down along one axis. Something like this. We continue to customize the shape of the fish. Now select all the points along the contour of the fish's body to make the shape more natural. We will also set up these points. Select them and scale them down along one axis. Now the fish is pretty flat, so let's select the center points on both sides. To quickly select the points, go to the front view and select using rectangle selection. Next, select soft selection in this tool, turn it on. Adjust the radius and strength of the actions. Select the Scale tool and increase the width. Thus, we get a more rounded shape of the fish. These points can also be increased a little. Let's add a few more loops to work on the shape in more detail. Create a cut here and there. Select the points again. Expand them a little using Scale. Do the same thing with the top points. Select the Scale tool and expand the points. The shape looks good, but it needs some adjustment. The path of polygons that form the outline is quite wide now. Let's make it thinner. Select the points, and use scale to reduce them in width. Now we need to make the shape more rounded. I will use Subdivide for this. Turn on the anti-aliasing mode, set the values to 2, and apply. We see that the object has a strange shape. To make it easier to edit the model, I will use the subdivision surface generator instead of the subdivide command. I can just turn it off at any moment. Cut polygons and turn it back on to check the shape. Yes, we are working on the model. Select Loop Cut. Create additional edges on the tail, around here and here in this place. Now if we turn on the subdivision surface, we see that the tail has become sharper. I also noticed that in this place, you need to slightly adjust the shape of the fish. Let's mix the points. Here, we will make the shape more rounded, and we will also correct the points below. To smooth this area here, you need to offset the points closer to the center of the tail. Before that, I choose Loop Selection and select the edges. To do this, we need to switch to Face Editing mode. Select the loop again and offset it closer to the center of the tail. Turn on Subdivision Surface to check the result. Let's offset the loop and even closer to the center. Let's leave it at about this place. Let's also adjust these edges. Let's move them closer to the central cut to make the shape of the fish more rounded. Now we need to make the fins at the top and bottom. For that, go to the Editing Polygons mode. Turn on the Display of Faces. Select these upper polygons. Use Ctrl to drag up or use Extrude. Switch to Point Editing mode and adjust the shape. Select the polygon pen and stitch these edges together. Now we need to remove the inner polygons, so they don't interfere with the subdivision surface. Next, we sew the sides. Turn on Subdivision Surface. Let's see what we got. The fin is thick now, so let's finalize the model. Select the points and use Scale to reduce their width. Yes, that's not bad already. But I want it to be thinner at the base, so select Loop Selection. Add a cut at this point. Now, nothing has changed much. But if we reduce the polygons in this place, we will get the desired result. Select the points. Select the Scale tool and reduce it in width. These points can be reduced even more. As you can see, there are no extra polygons inside, so everything should work fine. The only thing I want to fix is to offset these points to create a more horizontal plane. Turn on Subdivision Surface. Yes, it already looks better. Now we need to sharpen the edge of the fin. For that, I select the Loop Cut tool and create a new cut in this place. The fin has become sharper, and I like this result better. Now let's create the lower fin of the fish. To do this, select the required polygons and use the Extrude Inner tool to create an extra polygon loop. Then extrude these polygons and modify their shape. With the poly pen, sew these edges together. And we reduce the polygon to about this size with scale. You can also tweak these points a little. Turn on Subdivision Surface and check the model. Overall, it looks good, but the fin shape needs to be refined. Turn off Subdivision Surface. Select the points using rectangle selection and adjust them. The shape of the fin looks good. Now we need to finalize the shape of the tail. Turn off Subdivision Surface. Select the model, select the Point Edit mode, and switch to the front view. Select the points and adjust the shape of the tail. I'll turn on Subdivision Surface and see the result. Yes, the shape of the tail suits me. Now if we turn on the render, we will see that a deformation is formed where the additional edge was created. To get rid of this, we need to tweak the polygons a little. Switch to the face editing mode and select this loop. Next, using the slide tool, move this loop, approximately in the middle between the extreme edges. At this point, we need to slightly edit the shape. Select the points and scale a little. I will also move them a little higher. We will do the same for the lower points. Turn on Subdivision Surface and check the model in the render. There are no deformations and the model looks good. Excellent. Now we will make the eye and fins. I will use a sphere primitive as the base shape for the eye. Let's adjust this object. Select the subdivision type to hexahedron so that all polygons are four-sided. Now I adjust the size and position of this object. Convert the primitive into a polygonal object. In polygon editing mode, create an oval shape. We need to cut off half of the model. I select the Line Cut tool to create an axial edge loop. I turn on snapping to the grid. Do not forget to uncheck the Visible Only option so that the entire model is cut. I cut the model. I select the unnecessary part of the polygons and delete it. Turn off bindings. Let's go back to editing the shape. Make it a little bit narrower. Now insert the object to match the reference. Let's enlarge and rotate the object a little. Now let's add this object to the subdivision surface to have more subdivisions. And put this generator into symmetry. Select the XY display. We get such a fish. I will slightly refine the shape and make it more oval. Turn off subdivision surface and symmetry. Select the scale tool and narrow the shape of the eye a little. Excellent. Now let's create the pupil for the eye. To do this, I switch to the polygon editing mode. Select the Live Selection tool and select these polygons. Then I use the Split command to split them into a new object. Now let's go to the frontal view. Select the Point Editing mode, and slightly adjust the shape of the pupil. Go back to Polygon Editing mode and apply the Bevel tool. We turn on the limit so that the polygons do not intersect. We get such a pupil. Now turn on Subdivision Surface and place this object inside. Put it under the eye object so that the subdivision surface applies to both objects. So here we see that the pupil is slightly behind the eye. So we will adjust these points. Select these points and move them closer to the base of the eye. The same as with the lower points. Turn on Subdivision Surface. Yes, this method didn't work, so let's create an additional polygon loop. To do this, I'll turn off the generator's back. I will hide the eye object, and in the face editing mode, select this magnifying glass. Extrude it. I'll turn on all objects and see what we got. Yes, now it flakes off, and everything looks like it should. Now let's create the fin for the fish. For this, I will again use the cube object. We convert it into polygons, adjust the size and position. Now I select the points and adjust the shape in more detail. This is where we need to add a loop. So I select the Loop Cut tool and make a cut. And if we add this object to the subdivision surface, we can see that it is rather rounded. So I add another cut, right here in the middle. Select the points and adjust the shape. Now we have such a fish, but it can still be improved. To refine the fish, we can add eye hollows to it. To do this, I will duplicate the eye object. I remove the pupil from it and turn off the visibility of objects so that they do not interfere. We have such an object. Now we need to get a spline from it. To do this, I select this loop and use the edge to spline command. A new spline object is created. The mesh object can be deleted. Now let's set up the spline type. To make the shape more rounded, I choose the B-spline type. Next, we create a sweep generator. We place our spline in it and add the end side primitive as a profile. Reduce its size, and we get such a model. An eye contour. Now we need to project this sweep onto the main shape of the fish. To do this, I select the spline, right-click and select the Project command. Click Apply. The spline is projected onto our object. Now turn on the display of the eye and see that the sweep fits perfectly to the shape of the eye. Now to make the shape uniform, we need to put all these objects into the volume generator builder. But first, I'll create duplicates to preserve this iteration. Now we place these two objects in the volume builder generator. This model needs to be hidden. It creates such an object that consists of voxels. Now let's adjust their size. I'll make the values quite small to give the shape more detail. Now, as you can see, the mesh has become ribbed. All polygons are visible without anti-aliasing. So let's add smooth in mean mode. All the same, the object has rather sharp edges. So let's add subdivisions in the subdivision surface generator to make the mesh more detailed. Now the fish has a more accurate shape. Also, we can add a fin. I turn on its visibility. I create a duplicate and place it in the volume builder generator. Let's refine the shape and position of the fin. Next, to turn it all into polygons, put the volume builder into the volume mesher. A rather dense mesh is created. If we adapt it, we'll end up with a pretty bad mesh. Let's leave it as it is. I duplicate it, hide this object, and convert the duplicate to a polygon object. Now, using the Quad Remesher plugin, we will create a cleaner mesh. Select the plugin and turn on the symmetry along the Z-axis. Click Remesh It. We are creating a new model that has a fairly good mesh and an axial loop. But it needs to be slightly modified, since some areas of the polygons have a rather rough look. So I select the Smooth tool and smooth out some areas of the model. Excellent. Now turn on the Garage Shading Lines mode and look at our result. We created such a fish using polygonal modeling and subdivision surface generators, as well as Volume Builder and Volume Mesher. And this lesson is over. Thank you all. See ya.